Here. Could we rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Could you grab that door, John, that back door? Thank you. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes, and Samuel is on vacation, so we have the minutes of August 15th and August 20th still being prepared, so that item's not on the agenda tonight.
Welcome back, Sam.
Any other additions or deletions to the agenda? All right. We'll move on with the swearing in of Sarah Toth, who is a newly appointed lieutenant, and Steve Kuzno is a newly appointed sergeant. Chief?
Okay, yeah, we're going to start with Steve here for sergeant, so go ahead and come on up first, Steve here. And then we'll kind of do one at a time. With their family, in Steve's case, his wife, you can come on, April, you got to stand there and look out at the crowd. You don't get to do that. And then afterwards, I'll shake your hands and all that kind of good stuff here. So it's kind of exciting. We don't get to do two in one swoop very often. And I know I haven't been here that long. So, now Sergeant Steve Kuzno here. Steve's been on since 1997. Last quite a few years he's been assigned to our DEA task force. A lot of experience. We've had him back on the shift now for a month and a half, getting him all reacclimated to operations, and he's actually already working midnight shift, which is where he's going to end up as sergeant. So, congratulations. Somebody's on the list there.
Congratulations, Steve. Congratulations,
She can do it outstanding. Oh, there we go. There you go. All right. Congratulations. Good job. All right.
Sounds good.
Come on up, Sarah, and your folks here. Sarah's going to have her parents pin her badge on here. Or her mom? Or are they both? Okay, both coming. All right.
Yeah. Yeah, come on.
All right. Okay, nobody hiding behind the podium here. Okay, all right. Sarah, she's been on since 1996, been a sergeant for 9 years now, been assigned to the midnight shift, so we had a good process, excited. Sarah came out number 1. She's going to be the lieutenant for the support section, and got a lot of things been waiting for her, lined up, ready to hit the ground running, so I've already been telling her on that. So, again, congratulations, Sarah. Let me give you a badge. Okay. Okay. It's hard to get out. It's better if you just do that for now. All right. John, all right. Shake the...
Congratulations. Well deserved.
Congratulations.
Appreciate it.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. And anybody,
Yeah, we'll take a break if you want to go to the lobby. It'll be a short break. We'll continue with our agenda.
we're spinning out quick.
Come get
I took video too.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
All right. See you, Mr. Toth.
Is Mark Jans here? Mark, which item on the agenda did you want to talk about?
The zoning.
Is it a zoning issue? Okay, that's good. That's next, so we'll start with that. and I'll call on you after we get the presentation. Bill?
Good evening. I have two resolutions this evening. First one is 19099, declaration of nuisance / authorization of abatement. This is the property at 8044 Bancroft. If you recall, a few weeks back, legal counsel discussed this in executive session, and we are in the process of working out a meeting time with the property owner. But at this time, we'd like to go ahead and get this resolution approved, just to keep the process rolling.
Okay. Mr. James?
All right, guys, I'd like to start off by saying I do agree that this property does need to be cleaned up. You guys know that I was appointed trustee years ago, and through the process of this, Dean was coming out. I don't think I've ever met Darrell, but Dean was coming out, we were going over things, and I was making significant progress on cleaning the property up. Then, my brother and two sisters were trying to have me removed as trustee. So now they've reinstated me as trustee. I thought we had one more court date to go through to finalize this, but Mike Dansack, the attorney for the estate, just told me the other day, he goes, "No, Mark, you could have been cleaning this up for the last 3 weeks." So I'm sorry, guys. Like I said, I thought that I had one more court date to go through to finalize this. I can imagine that the person that's filed the complaint is the guy that lives to the east of the property. You literally cannot see any of these items from the from the road. You can only see them from his property. He bought the property back in November of '89. All this stuff was already there at that time, and he's literally been nothing but a pain in the butt to my mom and dad ever since. I mean, just to give you a brief history of what he's did to my mom and dad, as soon as he moved in there was a line of lilac tree bushes that lined the whole property. My dad knew where that property line was. The gentleman next door was out there tearing down all these lilac trees with his truck. My dad went over there and proceeded to tell him to stop removing them until he got it zoned. He wouldn't stop, so my dad went in and called Sylvania Township Police. The police came out, the police also told him to stop, which he did for that day. The next day he went out there and he started tearing them back out again. And when my dad went over and confronted him about it, he called the township police at that time, and when the police got there, he told the police that my dad had pulled a gun on him. When they talked to my dad about it, my dad told them, this was my dad, the way he talked, he said, "Horse shit, if I'd have pulled a gun on him, I'd have killed him." Needless to say, when I got there, my dad was in the back of a police car in handcuffs. I went in, I said to my mom, "Mom," I said, "what's going on?" She was in there crying. My mom never cussed, I don't think, a day in her life. But she said, "Oh, Mark, it's that asshole next door." After that, we appropriately called him the asshole next door. I'm sorry, but that's all this guy is. Even after he had the property surveyed, he realized that, yeah, those bushes were on our property. My dad could have been an a-hole himself and taken him to court over it, but he didn't. He just let it go. He continued to tear out all these lilac bushes. And then just another situation in 2011, after my dad had passed away, part of the tree came down, and he complained about these trees forever. I own a tree service. My mom called me up and told me to come over and take care of this. I said, "Mom, I'm going to get one of my buddies over there that owns another tree service to take care of this." Now, guys, if somebody's telling you that, hey, we just need to drop this tree on your property, we'll have it all cleaned up, You won't even know the tree was there. Would it take you 3 hours to agree to this? I don't think so. Finally, we got in such an argument over it that I looked at the other tree service and I said, Steve, if this goes to court and he takes me to court when this other part of this tree falls, will you testify that we did everything possible to take this tree down? Steve goes, yeah. I said, if this tree falls on that property, who's ultimately responsible to clean it up? He goes, he is. Boy, his tune changed then. He was all ready to allow us to do it, and the reason why he didn't have us do it, was arguing doing it, was because you guys know as well as I do, when do you have a leach field repaired on a Saturday and Sunday? Because he just redid his leach field, and I can guarantee that he didn't pull a permit for it. And he was concerned that we were going to damage his leach field. We didn't, but we did remove the tree, and nothing was left on his property. This is just, guys, I'm just kind of giving you an example of what we dealt with for all these years. This guy has been a real pain in the ass.
Can we ask you what would your resolution be for us here?
I mean, guys, there's 50 years of accumulation there. I've got photos, guys, of before and after photos. I'm sorry, they're photos that my sister took. They're in the fall of the year and then in the spring of the year. She didn't get exact photos from the exact angle, so.
Is this where there's some cars in there also back there?
The majority of the stuff that's left on the property are the vehicles. There were 6 vehicles back there, and my nephew from Canada there was a 67 Mustang, so he came down and loaded that up. He took the car back to Canada with him. So now currently there's 5 cars there. I talked with Dean the other day. I've even went to the extreme, guys, of buying a larger skid steer that I hopefully can pick these cars up with. But I just want you guys to take a look at some of these photos, and it's wrote on the back what they are. That's before and after.
Daryl, can we allow them to continue to clean up? Are we making progress? I know a lot has changed, but what is the recommended course of action here? It sounds like he's making a good faith effort.
Right, and we're in the process of working out a meeting with Mr. Jans. I believe right now we're looking at sometime on Monday, the 9th. We haven't worked out a time yet. We're waiting for a response from legal counsel as far as when they were available. I just heard back this afternoon that they could do either morning or afternoon, so I guess whatever time of day would work for you on that.
Here's,
We say it here.
all the stuff that's in circles has been removed.
Even though,
Here's the thing, Daryl, I own a tree service. This is our busy time of the year. And in addition, we're storm chasers. Last year, we were down in Panama City for I think it was 5 or 6 weeks. If this hurricane does hit the coast, I'm gonna grab a couple guys and we're going down there. This is a big, significant portion of my yearly income. These hurricanes mean a big deal to me. My wife, in 2017, she had ovarian cancer. I forced her to take the largest chemo treatments that she possibly could. She would, in the middle of the night, be screaming and yelling because of nightmares. I kept telling her, Judy, you gotta take as much of this as you possibly can, because hopefully this will kill it. It didn't kill it, guys. We just found out a couple weeks ago that the cancer's back. We've got an appointment with her. The first guy that did it, Dr. Bibbs. I'm sorry, Daryl, I thought we were going to Columbus, but we're gonna be in Columbus on Thursday morning, or Thursday at 1 o'clock. We've got an appointment, I think it's the James Center down there, Ohio State University. We're trying to get a second opinion on this. If something happens with my wife and she needs me, that's going to take precedence, guys, over this. and I think just about anybody should be able to understand that. 3 women that she went through the first set of chemo treatments with have already passed away. So, like I said, you need to understand that if anything significant becomes of this, she takes precedence over absolutely everything. We think the treatments are probably gonna start. She had for the last 4 months, she's had a trip planned to go see Noah's Ark with her mom down in Kentucky. That's the last week of September, and she's refusing to start any type of treatments until after she goes on this trip with her mom. I personally think she's making a mistake, but she wants to at least enjoy some time with her mom before she starts into these treatments. We don't know exactly what the treatments are gonna be. Like I said, I'm going down there to Ohio State to see if she can be on this immunotherapy instead of the chemo treatments. But,
Can I ask a question?
yeah.
First of all, sorry about your wife. Can't imagine what you're dealing with that. Is there, your business is the tree business, and you're busy, like the storm chasing, and that's a good time to make some money. Is there somebody, like, locally that could help you would pay to help get rid of some of this stuff, so you keep moving in a forward fashion? Now that you are a trustee, you've got the ability to subcontract that work out to whoever you'd want to.
Right.
As opposed to putting that load on yourself. You're dealing with cancer, you're dealing with some trees. Is there somebody there that you could...
Neil, I've always been the type of person that's taken everything on myself. A lot of times overwhelm myself, I shouldn't do it, but that's who I am. I'm a worker.
Yeah, I know, I can tell you. I'm just wondering, I'm just trying to think of how you could save some stress here, because you got 2 really stressful things going on in your life. If you came to us and, if you came to me personally and said, Neil, I'm gonna get this stuff cleaned up, I might give you a little bit of rope, but if you're saying I gotta do a storm chase, I get the health thing. I don't get the health thing, I feel terrible for you. But if you said, I'm gonna sub this out, I've got somebody that I'm gonna contract with, he'll bring his own skid loader, he'll get these cars out of the way. You've done a great job so far. Yeah.
And like I said, if the bottom line is, if my hands wouldn't have been tied for the last 2 or 3 years, you can't even imagine the frustration I have over my brother and 2 sisters. This would have been all cleaned up and done years ago. It would be all gone. And I'm gonna continue to more or less plug away at it. The biggest thing left are these 5 cars. Dean said that he wanted time for the leaves to fall so that he could go in the back of the property and make sure, like I said, that everything's been cleaned up. In addition to just that stuff that you guys see, there were over 250 tires back there. Myself and my sister took the time, every time Toledo Recycling had a tire day, we took the time and we took 20 tires at a time. We just plugged away with it. Getting rid of tires is expensive. And I understand what you're saying, Neil, and yeah, I probably would. It would probably relieve a lot of pressure on me, but like I said, I pay a lot of money for this other skid steer.
Sure.
It's a lot bigger skid steer that I hope is gonna be able to pick these up and as soon as they put them on the trailer and get them out of there.
Darrell, how long have you been working on this piece of property, roughly? Not exactly, but...
This has been going on, if the board recalls, the complainant came in about, I'm going to say, 1.5 years, 2 years ago about this property. Yeah, maybe even longer than that, at least 1.5 years.
And
So it has been going on for some time, and a lot of the holdup...
just a minute, sir.
A lot of the holdup was because of the litigation regarding trusteeship of the property. I just want to note that approval of this resolution by the trustees doesn't mean that we would necessarily enact or act on it right away. It just authorizes the go-ahead of the abatement by the township, should the progress not be what we deem necessary.
Darrell, what do you think would be a reasonable amount of time? I feel sorry for Mr. Jans and his neighbor and the other problems, but a year and a half, I think, we need to set a time, and it's either done or it's not done. That's my feeling. I don't know how the other two members feel.
Can I say something?
Well, let Darrell answer my question first. What do you think would be a reasonable?
Well, I guess the concern would be that we'd be going into winter and this would still be going on, and then probably nothing would get done until March or April. Even 60 days puts us
Well, I
early
sense-
November.
Darrell, I sense the board would like to give him some time, but I'd like to see a definite date, and I don't think we want to go through the winter with this. After a year and a half, I think it's time to take some action, but that's up to the other two boards.
I'd like to see resolution of the estate, so if you can show us that you are the executor or whatever, so you are in control, so if we do have an issue, we can look at you and say, you told us on September 3rd that this was going to happen, and not point any more fingers. And then I'd like to give them 60 days, and if progress continues, we address it at that time.
Can I say something though, guys?
Sure.
Mr. Crandall?
Well, we're not here to
Right.
negotiate, we want to hear you out, sir, but we've got a lot of items on the agenda, so.
But just let me say this and I'll finish up. Like I said, if this wouldn't have been going through court for the last couple of years, this would have already been completed.
We're more interested in when it will be completed rather than the history, sir.
It will, like I said,
Is 60 days reasonable that Mr. Genuine suggested? Is that reasonable to you?
if possible, guys, I would like to add 90 days. I guarantee that this will be cleaned up by winter.
Well, that's a tough time for us to go in.
Well, the leaves are still you're gonna be picking up leaves in November anyways, the dean's not gonna get out there in November, I'm okay with 90 days.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you, Darrell? You're the one who's been dealing with us.
Right. I'd like to suggest to the board, we're tentatively going to be meeting with Mr. Jans on the 9th, next Monday. Why don't I come back at the next trustee meeting, 2 weeks from tonight, and give an update on how that meeting was, synopsis of it, and then the board can either take action on this resolution at that time, or
I think you
come up with a 60-day or whatever timeline.
Good suggestion, Darrell. I think the board, or the heads are nodding, so that's what we'll do. And I'd like to move on with the agenda, sir.
Take care of your wife.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming.
John.
Yeah.
I see, for the record, I think maybe you put your name in
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, John.
the name of the address where
We've got
Mr.
it.
Jansen,
We've
okay,
got it.
got it, okay.
Thank you so much.
Good luck.
Darrell,
Yeah, you got it.
your next
Hang in there.
resolution?
And Dean will be in tomorrow morning.
Sir?
The rest of us are available.
Yeah, I'd like to move on with the meeting, if it's all right. Thank you.
Thanks. My next item is Resolution 19105, authorization of abatement of vegetation and/or debris. This is for the property at 4240 Eaglehurst Drive. This is a high grass violation.
I'll move resolution 19105, authorization of abatement of vegetation.
Second?
Mr. Dunaway?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. Thank you, Darrell.
That's all I have.
Fire Department, Chief?
Good afternoon. I only have one resolution, it's 19-106, authorization to promote one part-time firefighter to full-time. I had one of my gentlemen resign a week ago. He's leaving for Oregon Fire to become a chief of their training bureau, so would like to move one of our young guys from the part-time right into the full-time spot, so.
Offer resolution 19106 to promote one part-time to full-time. Firefighter, paramedic.
Second?
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Oliver, Mr. Chair?
Good evening, trustees. There are 4 resolutions under the administrator category tonight. First being Resolution 19097, which would provide for the renewal of the township's service agreement with corporate intelligence consultants for background investigations. Director Anko has been using the services of this company during the hiring and employee background verification processes on an as-needed basis, and the service has been in place for several years. The agreement would provide for an ongoing term which should be canceled upon 30 days' notice at any time. No price increases are included, and the services rendered to date have been satisfactory to administration. Thank you.
Any questions? I'll move Resolution 19097, renewal of corporate intelligence consultants background investigations agreement.
Second?
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. Next item?
The second item is Resolution Number 19-100, adoption of a social media comment policy. As trustees are aware, Sylvania Township currently maintains a Facebook page and may establish other social media pages in the future so that the township can engage with citizens and stakeholders, provide public information, and promote transparency. Recently, the township has been advised by the prosecutor's office that the adoption of a social media comment policy is necessary in order to provide the township with the ability to reasonably manage its social media presence without violating the First Amendment rights of commenters. More specifically, at the same time, Sylvania Township encourages comments, critiques, questions, and recommendations via township social media pages. The policy would allow for the removal of comments that are vulgar, abusive, offensive, threatening, or harassing, or otherwise inappropriate. The policy also reinforces that the poster of a comment is responsible for their content and states the township reserves the right to delete comments or block access. Thank you.
Any questions for the administrator?
Does this address our employees making comments, or is this more in general managing our Facebook pages?
Thank you for that question, Mr. Genoway. This addresses comments by the public. Comments by employees would be likely covered under a separate internal policy.
Do we have that in our handbooks?
Not to my knowledge, but I would need to double check to verify that.
I'll offer Resolution 19-100, adoption of a social media comment policy.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genoway?
Yes.
The third resolution is Resolution 19-101, Authorization for Telecommunications Audit Review and Optimization. As trustees are aware, many local governments throughout the country have embraced the use of professional telecommunications consultants to eliminate unnecessary costs and optimize service in telephone, wireless communications, and internet capabilities which are necessary to optimally serve citizens and stakeholders. Township administration has researched this concept and was introduced by the DMC Technology Group to the BOS Group to complete an audit review and optimization of the township's telecommunications systems. The BOS Group is based in Sylvania Township and has served many local clients, including Lucas County, the City of Perrysburg, and Washington local schools. Reference checks with Lucas County and the City of Perrysburg have resulted in positive reviews of the work performed by the BOS Group. In front of the trustees is a proposal submitted by the group for a telecommunications audit and optimization review. The proposal would provide for the call patterns, line configurations, and telephone usage cost of the township's telecommunications structure to be reviewed in order to improve efficiencies and eliminate unnecessary expenditures. Existing contracts with telecommunications providers would also be reviewed in order to ensure optimization and maximize savings. As noted within the proposal, the BOS Group would charge a fee equal to 4.5 times the monthly savings generated through client-approved changes. This fee is highly competitive with another consultant with which I've worked and reasonable based upon completed research. The proposal also includes a fee of 35% of any retroactive credits due to the township. Importantly, the BOS Group and its employees do not receive compensation or commission from telecommunications vendors. Accordingly, the audit review and optimization would provide an independent third-party assessment of the township's structure and billing with no cost being due if no cost-saving recommendations are developed or implemented. Thank you.
Any questions of the administrator?
Is this factoring in whether we would go with the 911 or not 911? I mean, when I think of critical call patterns and stuff, that's obviously where I go to first, but is that going to be a focus of this, or is that a secondary, considering it's kind of in limbo now?
Thank you, Mr. Genowine. That was specifically discussed with the BOS group during our meetings, and it was noted as something with which they would need to come back with recommendations on if that were to move forward.
Okay. Allow for resolution 19-101, authorized for telecommunication audit review.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
And on the final resolution, 19-098, I will defer, if it pleases the board, to Director Onco.
Good evening, trustees.
Hi, Janet.
Thank you, Oliver. Before you, I have resolution number 19-098. This is a request to renew the contract with Lighthouse Telehealth, LLC, as Savannah Township's EAP provider. As you're aware, Lighthouse Telehealth was previously Harbor, and we started using Harbor when we became aware that Workplace Resources would be closing. As our EAP, we use Lighthouse Telehealth, often still referred to as Harbor, as our voluntary employee EAP. Also, we do mandatory referrals to this EAP, and we also utilize them for training. For example, we recently conducted all-employee drug-free workplace training, which I think they did a fairly good job with that. Also, I have sent out employee surveys, and overall the results were very favorable. And I did a little bit of benchmarking last spring. There is one other EAP in the Toledo area. However, I think that Harbor's pricing was more competitive, and we gained 8 additional hours of training hours, which is covered under this contract, which we would have to have paid maybe $175 or $200 additional an hour. So, like I said, their pricing is competitive, and the survey results have come back favorable. So I would request the board's approval of the renewal of the contract.
Any questions for Janet? I'll move resolution 19-098, renewal of Lighthouse Telehealth LLC EPA contract.
Second?
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Thank you, Janet.
Thank you.
Thanks, Janet.
Mr. Simcoe, fiscal officer.
Three resolutions, first being resolution number 19-102, and it's appropriation from unencumbered balance. You can see the monies there that are up on the board. One, where some checks bounced, not our checks, but checks that the county collected from vendors and then sent us the money. And of course, when the checks bounce, they take back the money. And then the other items are equipment repair and maintenance, to get our equipment ready for the leaf pickup and that, fixing up the stuff, the equipment that does that. And then you see some auditor and treasurer's fees. And then there's some other items on there, and the last one, they had $9,000 sum that is a payout. You know, it's on the TIF thing where we collect the money and just send it on out. So we're like a conduit or a pass-through, like that. So that's resolution 19-102.
Any questions for Mr. Simcoe? I'll move resolution 19-102, township appropriation from unencumbered balance.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
The second resolution I have is resolution 19-103, and that has to do with advancing money from the general fund to a special assessment fund, and that's just a follow-up to this, these not insufficient fund payments from the county. So we have to establish an account for this because of this. Kind of unusual that this has never happened before. It's sets up a lot of bookkeeping for us to keep track of this money, but, we have to do it.
Is our bank charging us a fee too for it?
No, because it's happened at the county level.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Center?
No.
I move resolution 19103, advance of funds.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
Last resolution is 19-103, and that has to do with this ESID, these checks, and that setting up accounts again to handle this $505.
That's 104, resolution
19-104.
Okay.
Any questions for Mr. Center? I move resolution 19104 to establish revenue and expense accounts.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
That's all I have.
Next, thank you. Next item on the agenda is hearing of the public for non-agenda items. Robert Kelso.
I'm Robert Kelso, resident of the township for 23 years. Prior to that, resident of the city for 24 years. I realize tonight is not the night, this is not the open discussion for the 911 consolidation, but I did want to ask a few questions about it if I could. When is the next hearing, or when does this come up? Can you kind of explain what the whole procedure is going to be?
Well, in our last meeting, we got information on it, and right now, we've told the county we expect to make a decision on October 1st.
And this is
Answer the question.
this is a decision that you trustees will be making, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I guess a couple of points or a couple of other questions. Has there been a demand from Sylvania residents for this consolidation?
I would say no. I don't know, we could have had calls or...
Okay. Have there been complaints from a lot of Sylvania residents about the quality of the 911 service?
I would think not, but that question's probably our chief. We don't know of any, but chief.
Okay. I guess the basic point I'm making, I'm opposed to the consolidation, and I have to admit that I have a vested interest. My daughter-in-law is Heather Kelso, and she is the 911 operator.
Sure.
But I guess the basic point I want to make, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Keep it in Sylvania. Don't make us a part of Greater Toledo. Let's keep it for Sylvania and Sylvania Township. And that's it.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other open discussion from either the board or from the administration?
I thought we were getting the July monthly reports tonight, since we skipped them at the last meeting, but,
I think because of the time in the executive session,
okay.
I think we're doubling up next month, is that correct?
Right, as the trustees know, the reports were deferred at the end of the last meeting, and it was my understanding that they would be placed online and made available with the report starting again at the next meeting on September 17.
Okay.
But are we doubling, the next meeting when we get next month,
Correct.
they'll combine both?
They're currently left in the agenda for the August 20th meeting, and they can certainly be included on the next agenda as well.
Yeah, some of them we get direct, like police and fire, and then we get a report here. Road department, we normally don't get it direct. And zoning, we get both, sometimes direct, and so I think Oliver said we got a pretty full agenda, so I'm pretty sure we're gonna double up next month.
Thank you.
Yep, sorry.
Anything else? All right, I'll move to go into executive session to talk about preliminary work with our health care consultant for union negotiations and Economic Development with Attorney Don Sanderson.
Second.
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. And one note that our administrator, I'm sorry, the time, at 5:21, our administrator and assistant administrator will
Shucks.
I'll make a motion to come out of...
John's got it. Wait a minute, John. Are you going over the game?
Yeah, well, I'm gonna call my wife, see what she's doing. She told me she might meet me over there, so...
Which game? What game?
Oh, it's not my son's soccer game.
Oh! Is he playing right now?
Yeah.
Speak?
7 o'clock.
Ooh, all right.
Who are they playing, do you know?
Springfield,
Oh,
yeah.
okay. I'll move to come out of executive session at 7:01.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes. And I'll move to adjourn at 7:02.
Second?
Mr. Genowine?
Yes.
Mr. Mahoney?
Yes.
Mr. Crandall?
Yes.
All right, good night, everybody.